away this badass F450. LSNAS.com, every dollar you spend gets you entered to win this F450 7.3 Power Stroke on a set of 24-inch rims. You need new daily, you need a truck to tow, you want to work some storms, this is your ticket right here. Right now on the website, we got a bunch of brand new merchandise, and everything that's under the past collections is 2 times entries. So go down to LSNAS.com, shop around, get entered to win. Hello guys, this is Winston. This is Ava's replacement while Matt is gone. For everyone that is wondering what happened to Matt, we had to let him go. Some things just didn't work out. He was trying to tell me that turbos were better, and I thought that nitrous was better. Big, throwdown of words, and I told him that I think the LS is better than the small block Ford, and he disagreed. So we both kind of pointed our fingers at each other. We took our shirts off like we were gonna fight.
What you say? Come on, don't know me, son.
And we just walked away, and that was it.
Down, ham, sandwich.
19 Matt, or talked to Matt since then. So Matt will no longer be in the videos from here on out. I'm sorry to tell you guys that, nor will Ava. So this is the replacement. This is Winston. As you can see, Winston's all right. Winston's pretty cool. Less shedding, that's for sure, so that's a perk. The downfall, a little bit less intimidating. So, but still chases after the mailman and the UPS guy and pretty much anyone that walks in the door. So same like initial scare tactic. A lot of people, Winston actually scared someone on the hood of their car. So yeah, that you'll have that around here. So watchdog, we still got it. All right guys, we're talking about Hank. Last time we talked about Hank, we were having some slight issues at the track. That's part of the learning curve, part of making changes and doing all that fun stuff. What was it, Glot?
Thursday night
Glot. Just put a brand new converter in there. Oh yes, we got it. Listen, get your notepads out. We're gonna learn you guys some stuff here. We got Mason behind the camera. We're gonna give him this pry bar and switch. We're gonna show you guys real quick what checking the thrust looks like. The proper way to do it, okay, is to check the thrust. The thrust is your crank trying to move forward and backwards. You want to make sure that it is not out of it, like the crank doesn't go dunk, dunk. We had a slight converter charge pressure issue.
You could do so. You
is not the end of the world, but it's definitely something you need to keep an eye on. Converter charge pressure is too high. It's literally trying to push the converter forward into the motor, pushing on the crankshaft, pushing on the thrust bearing, which can prematurely wear the thrust bearing, knock the thrust out, eat up the crank, hurt the block. Number of things that can go wrong.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
We saw a high reading on our converter charge pressure, so we stopped. We didn't run it anymore. We got it back here, and we're like, all right, let's check the thrust. So Mason, give him a quick rundown how to check the thrust. Usually we use a dial indicator.
The proper way would be to use a dial in a mag base.
We've already done that, so this is just for visual purposes.
So, you're going to come in here at whatever angle you can get and kind of, push it back on the balancer the best you can, direct to the crankshaft there. Come over here and pry the other way, and we have absolutely no movement at all.
So we have no excessive play in the thrust, which is good. Right there, we can throw out, hey, we knocked out the thrust bearing, this, that, blah, blah.
Bing, bong.
The motor's good, everything's fine. Everything we did, I think what we did was the right call by not running it.
Yeah, just to make sure,
we weren't going to gain anything by running it more.
No.
So now that we know that the thrust is good, let's talk about what all happened. So the car was running good, got a Circle D converter. Converter worked great. Wanted to tighten it up a little bit more just because I was a little gun shy on the initial horsepower rating of this baby black sheep TKM package. I thought like, hey, let's go make 1,000, 1,100 horsepower. The sucker's making 1,500. Very strong, runs really good. So when I got the converter made, I got it made for, 1,100, 1,200. Well, it's making 1,500, so it's a little bit loose up top, has a lot of converter slip. We really saw that it was slipping when we started really putting more and more power on it because it quit going faster and would just make more trans temp. So it was like a slipping clutch at that point. So sent the converter back off to Pete at Circle D, got it back, stuck it in there. Before we were making passes, I had a bad converter charge pressure sensor in there. I damaged it on install. My bad. Listen, guys, I ain't perfect, okay? I was a little rough putting it in there.
That's what she said.
That's my joke. Damn it, Dwight.
We use all low-dollar motorsport sensors on pretty much everything. Shock travel sensors, pressure transducers, map sensors. They work great. Look, I got one right here. Look at this guy. Boom. Shout out to Brandon Dollar. He's a big asset to the channel. So we put a new charge pressure sensor in there, and on the trans brake we were looking like 110, 120, which is a little bit too high. You want to keep it below 100. On the trans brake release, 170 to 180. It was doing that for about 0.4 seconds and starting to fall, but you got to think that's a lot of pressure pushing on the back of the crankshaft. So you literally have your crank sitting in here.
Or not.
Here's your thrust bearing. Look at this perfect example. Look, like, this video is turning out great so far. I mean, really good. The crank starts riding on this part because it's literally trying to push the crankshaft forward. Once you knock this out, you're in some big trouble. This is going to wear in the crank really bad, and if you like wear it down enough and you start getting into the block, the crank is smoked because you start eating the counterweight. The block is smoked. You just have a big issue. So you got to really keep. It's supposed to be a little oil cushion in there. It's not not meant to have a lot of pressure on it. The LS is not known to have the greatest thrust design ever. You can switch over to a roller bearing, but you still have to be cautious of your converter charge pressure. There's no fix for bad converter charge pressure. So that leads us into the solution. The converter does exactly what we want it to do. It's much tighter. 60 foot. How good is 60 foot, the track? That sucker.
That baby was rolling.
Yeah, that sucker.
It was going.
Yeah,
it was going.
Yeah, that sucker. And it worked good before. It was a little bit loose down low, but it was really loose up top. So seeing how much better it reacted down low, I knew it was going to feel really good up top. So there's no fault here. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's the converter guy. It is not the converter guy at all. You got to understand that we're on a Circle D converter. We're using, this one's like a Cameron's Power Glide. I got Mickey 2-speed 400s. I got 3-speed 400s. I got some 180 geared Power Glides. I got some 169 geared Power Glides, all built by different people. So everyone's transmission to converter is different. You could take this torque converter out and stick a PTC converter in there and the charge pressure is fine. The converter might not do what we want to. We might take that out and put a Circle D back in there and the converter charge pressure is high. You just have to really dial in the setup. So converter charge pressure is high doesn't mean there's something wrong with the transmission, something wrong with the torque converter. You just need to get it in check. And that is your duty as the person installing this stuff. That's why it's important. If you don't have any transmission data, you will never know. I've done it before where I've got lucky where I was just blind and everything seemed to work out. I did not log any transmission data. I've also done it where it didn't work out, where I put it in there and 3 passes later, I don't have a thrust bearing. The bad apple actually had such high converter charge pressure, one rip on the dyno, and it knocked the thrust out of it. It literally started bending the flex plate and hitting the back of the motor. Now that was a converter issue. That's an extreme case, but generally, if it's just slightly off, you can regulate it. You can put restrictors in the case. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use a converter charge pressure regulator. Now this is, Matt puts these on a bunch of transmissions. I've never done them on anything. I've had good luck, other than the bad apple, of just having my stuff kind of in check off rip and not really doing too many converter changes. So I haven't had to mess with it much, but Matt is always looking for the next step, the next best thing, a little bit better converter, a little bit less slip, a little bit better down low. You really got to squeeze every single number out of it when you're trying to set records, running classes, PB all the time. So you really got to dial it in. So Matt suggested we run a converter charge pressure regulator. So it's going to bypass fluid back to the case, which goes in the cooler line. So I know I got a transmission sitting around here somewhere.
There's a 400 right there.
Hey, we'll use this for, all right. This transmission, I'd like to tell you, identifies
As a power.
as a Power 5. So it's actually a setup similar to this. I'll put a picture on the screen, but as you can see, you got your cooler circuit here. Here's our charge pressure right there. This one's got a couple different, this was a transmission with a dump on it. So a normal transmission, like what we're running, has our cooler circuits that come out and then they go into the transmission cooler. So we're gonna have a T right here, and it's going to go to a regulator, which we will then drill the case and have it return back into the top of the case right there.
It's basically just dumping it right back into the pan.
Yeah, so we're going to relieve the additional pressure because we like the way everything else is going. We don't want to have to drop the valve body and put restrictors in anywhere because everything's working good. Also, that's a lot more work. I can handle a self-tapper, or sorry, not a self-tapper, a step bit, and I can handle tapping the case and putting it in there. As far as me pulling off the valve body and having all the little check balls fall on the ground and go everywhere and go, well, damn, I messed that up. I ain't doing that. So that is our plan. We have some testing going on Thursday, Friday, so we're going to try to get Hank right. Hank actually, after sitting, you know, when you leave these cars sit, had a bad crank sensor. So I thought, worst case scenario, I looked and saw high converter charge pressure. I had a loss of crank signal. I said, holy shit, the converter is literally trying to throw the crank out the front of the motor. It's moving the reluctor away from the sensor. That's why it's losing. Well, actually, that's not the case. It is just a bad sensor. I let the battery die.
And it had a non-OEM sensor in it.
It had a non-OEM sensor in it. I might have cheaped out here and there. Listen, I'm guilty of being cheap sometimes, okay? So I found it laying around in the bottom of a bucket, not gonna lie, it worked great until now. Went fast with it. So I thought that was the issue. When we came back, we checked the thrust was fine. I said there's no way that was the issue. The battery was dead. It kind of messed up a couple sensors. And I don't think it was necessarily the battery that was dead, but it's a solid contactor. And when the battery dies, instead of just shutting off, it just starts going back and forth between on, off, on, off, on, off. So you really gotta be sure not to let those die. I messed up on that and it damaged the sensor. So new converter charge pressure sensors in there, new crank sensor is in there. We're gonna put a regulator for line pressure, and then we really should be good to turn it up.
I would think, hopefully.
So that's kind of the rundown of what we got going on with Hank. The Black Sheep motor we got back. Oh, let's take a look at that. I was supposed to film a video up at TK Performance, was not able to. Got a million things going on. So we have all of our goodies over here. We have engine block. Want to show you guys this. We are running the same pistons that we have been running. Over 300 passes on these. These pistons got coated from line to line, and the wrist pins got coated as well. So that is what a piston with, 300 and some passes on it looks like. And this coating's badass. So what we did is we touched up the block, touched up the hones, and the coating's going to take up any difference in clearance because you don't want this thing rocking in the cylinder back and forth. So we actually had the pistons coated before. They worked great in the car, obviously. Well over 300 passes, going extremely fast. Shout out to the guys over at Line to Line. Check them out. They're in South Carolina. Brian over there really got us hooked up on that stuff. So check them out. Let's see, what do you add? Add 2 thou to the wrist pins per Kevin. I mean, Line to Line. Yeah, it saved me so much money and time not having to buy another set of pistons that we're very thankful working with them. We got our cylinder heads all touched up with a brand new valve spring package on there. So as you can see, we really damn, that's a pretty good size spring for us. You gotta think the Black Sheep's been rocking a little spring since then. We got our top fuel hoop in there as well. Some new valves.
So we do have new springs.
Brand new springs, some new valves, same pistons coated, brand new set of rods. We got our MGP rods right here. These are absolutely badass. Look at these guys.
That ain't no summer rod.
No, this thing is bad to the bone. So we run these in everything. I really like the MGP rods for the LS. They seem to work great. And then we got our crank, which is Cali's Ultra Billet crank. Nothing crazy though. We didn't go like any like oversized bearings or anything like that. Everyone thinks that there's like some sort of magic trick to this stuff. There's really not. It's just I think a good tune-up helps a lot. Good machine work, and it's in a Shaft Tech box. It did not go back to Shaft Tech. I can't confirm that. It's just in the box that it traveled down here with. There she is. The old 300 plus passes on it. Cali's Ultra Billet, standard LS crankshaft, 4-inch stroke. Just some simple parts that work really well. So we got to get this assembled. Maybe racing this weekend, if not next weekend.
Oh, you forgot.
Testing Thursday, Friday, and then we got to go and pick up the Red Lobster motor. So we got a lot of irons in the fire. We're busy. Mason's going to be elbow deep in work here, building race cars here in a minute. I'm going to be elbow deep in work, putting the black sheep together. A little bit of work on Hank. Silverback Z06 is ready to go. So we got a busy week of racing coming up. We got the giveaway for the truck. Let's just look at this truck for a second. Just look at this thing. I mean, dude.
Here, let me try not to trip over your new Noonan billet block.
Oh, listen. We don't need to be doing that. Cast block gang here. This thing might have a billet block in it, though.
Whew.
That thing is tougher than a $2 steak. I don't think you guys can really appreciate the wrap on camera here. Come up here and get close to it.
How much horsepower do you think this thing makes?
250. Pretty respectful for a 7.3. For a 7.3, these things make 170 horse. Look at that.
It's a little generous.
This thing is tough. I will say this for a fact. If you plan to go anywhere in this truck when you win it, right? You win this guy, you take it home, you're like, oh, babe, I got to run to the gas station quick. Good luck. It'll take you 2 hours. Anytime you pull up somewhere, you get some guys come up to you, you're like, God dang, that thing's badass. Are those 26s? Those 28s? Are those 30-inch rims? And then they're like, God damn, the spikes, they're dangerous. Like, you get the same thing everywhere you go. And then you confuse the hell out of them because it's got a 6.0 Harley Davidson front end on it. And they're like, is that a damn 6.0 or 7.3? And you're like, dude, this thing's a 7.3. They're like, well, gosh dang, how is it? And you're like, sell whole conversion kit. Boom, that's how.
How many guys came up to it at Galot last Thursday?
Oh my God. And then it's got the purple lights too, like the color change bed lights, which it's just like you set it off. We got some underglow on the way, so we'll be underglowing. Really, it's just a good looking truck, and you don't see many 140-inch wheelbase dually 7.3 trucks that look good or still running or aren't just like falling apart. I've had someone at the track that tried to buy the wheels off me. They tried to buy the whole truck off me. They're asking where they can get entered. They know I'm giving shit away, so they're like, oh, lsnasty.com, got to go get entered to win this. And listen, I was going to be cheap, all right? I'm not going to lie. This aluminum tank right here is high dollar, and I was going to keep it for myself. So I was going to take it off and keep it and put another one on here, but I'm throwing this in with it. You get the aluminum transfer tank, and we got the Gen Y hitch as well, which I'm getting sent off to get powder coated here this week. So everything's getting touched up, and we're going to do kind of like a little build series along the way. We're going to polish the bed here, which, I mean, potentially we could do today. We do a little bed polishing today.
I don't like
have enough shit to work on.
This we talk on polishing that bed is...
I can polish the bed. And then I also got a new set of dually wheels, which I don't know. I think with the polished bed, so those are just machined wheels, not polished. I don't know if polished bed and non-polished wheels will work. So I got a set of matching wheels, same thing, Freightliner Classics, polished. So we're going to be able to decide whether they look better with the polished wheels on it or not. But that thing right there is tough. You guys can go to lsnasty.com. We're giving away first ever diesel truck giveaway. Very excited. It comes with a job if you'd like also, which I don't know if I've disclosed. But if you win, you have the opportunity to work with JDR with top level pay. So not only can you win a truck, but you can also make some money with it also. You know, I don't know what more you want. You guys can just take my job here too. I'll give you the YouTube channel, and you guys can make daily uploads and everything like that. We can discuss that.
I mean, if you're not doing storm work, then what are you doing? I mean,
if you're not doing storm work, you probably live under a rock. You either hate money or you live under a rock.
Yes.
That's it. So, lsnasty.com, you can get entered to win. Dually giveaway.
Storm work will get you out the hood.
Oh yeah, storm work. It got Mason out of Indiana.
It got me out the hood.
All the way down here to North Carolina. Now he's a walking tripod. Look at him. Here, let me show. Just don't move your hand. You got to hold your hand there. Look at that. Walking tripod. That's how he walks around all day. That's gonna wrap it up. Quick update. We got some work to do. We're gonna get Hank right. We got like a long list of things we got to do today, huh? We just have work today.
We like literally have a whole list. We even wrote it down this time.
A lot of people don't understand. Like yesterday, we actually just worked all day, not on cars.
Yeah, it like just busy.
Yes.
Busy work.
Yes, all day long. So that's what we got going on. Go to lsnasty.com to get entered to win. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's upload.